talking to, I had a meeting with a great friend, and we are just talking in general, catching up, and it got me thinking because this was something that came up, the importance of communication when it comes to the service and the experience. And she used to work at a place where one time it was a restaurant, and one time they had delivered a cake to someone who had never ordered a cake to begin with. And it's like, how did that even happen? Like, from the point of, well, you knew you had to make the cake, but then the time, date, and the person who ordered the cake was on the person, and they drove 2 hours to go and deliver this cake, and they delivered it to the wrong person. And that was a clear indicator of a communication breakdown. And communication breakdowns are always happening in a business, whether you like it or yes. And oftentimes, leaders are not thinking about it, teams struggle, and the lack of communication leads to conflict and friction. And then it becomes harder to deliver a great experience. So, I don't know what makes sense in your world, but whatever that is in your world, when you feel like you cannot get your job done, or your team has not bought in into what needs to be done, and now you feel like you are chasing them, or they are always late, or they don't understand the importance of that document, why it needs to be done in a certain way, and now you feel like you are chasing them, that frustration then bleeds into your interactions with customers. It bleeds into that because you're frustrated, it makes it hard to be kind, to be caring, to be patient, because your patience is already thin. And communication is such a big deal that if you want to deliver a great experience within your company, it's important that you are taking care of that. You are helping teams to understand that, and why that is important. And the reason why communication is so important, because in a research, in a study, they found that 86% of employees and executives cite poor communication as the main cause of workplace failures. 86%. I mean, that is huge. And a lot of the breakdowns that happen in most businesses, or just in lives, I mean, communication is such a big deal that it's not just in the workplace, in the relationships with our friends, with our spouses, like all forms of relationships, the breakdowns happen because communication broke down. And if people are going to thrive, people are going to do well in their roles, people are going to do what is expected of them, then it means that they're going to have to know how to communicate. And so, if we know the importance of communication with executives and just employees, citing that is the biggest breakdown or failure when it comes to the workplace, then we have to define certain things. And so, today I'm going to share with you the three forms of communication breakdown that is happening consistently in your team. And then I'll give you a framework on how to go about and eliminate these from your organization. So the first one are more like demanding and vague phrases, right? Because I mean, communication, a lot of it is non-verbal and verbal communication. And so there are some that is happening all the time, but it's like demanding and vague. And here are some examples of that that we can then begin to think about its importance. For example, when you say, "I need this ASAP," mm, well, I think that, like, in your world, when you think about that, when you get an email or a text message that just says, "I need this ASAP," what does that mean for you? Right? Like, the person on the other end is not considering what you have going on. And not only that, it's vague. It's not really clear. Like, what does ASAP mean? And can you give me some specification or some clarification in terms of why maybe it's that urgent, and what specifically do you need done? Okay. And then something like, "Make it happen." Huh? Make it happen? Like, what do you mean? Like, make what happen? Like, can you give me more of that? Right. And then I think a great one we always see is when you are copied on a company-wide email, and then all you get is "see below." See below. And again, that is also vague, and it doesn't give you any clarification, or it doesn't give you much for you to look forward to. And so those are some of those phrases that can really create breakdowns in the workplace. And so instead of using these, I think some of the things that you can do, like instead of saying ASAP, I mean, it's about being specific, okay? Of okay, what needs to be done, and maybe what time frame, because that doesn't mean anything. And then making it happen, I mean, make what happen, right? You still need some context to that. See below, I mean, would it be best to just maybe give a description of what they need to see below so people know? Because what if it's urgent, but you just said see below, so someone don't read it or someone don't get to it? I mean, that then that just creates more communication breakdown. The second form of communication breakdowns that are typically happen, or the type of it, is accusatory or blame oriented, where you are just blaming the other person or accusing them because maybe they didn't do something. And oftentimes, this is due to um, a huge assumption that is being made. So, an example is what is going on here. Okay. I mean, it's assuming that something probably is going on that shouldn't be happening. And then, like, when can I expect this? It's another example. It's like, again, it's not clear. And then, why wasn't this done? Again, it's not clear, but then it's accusing or making the assumption that something should have been done and it wasn't done without you having the context that you need. And that creates a huge breakdown in the workplace, because if you have not taken the time to understand the situation, understand why maybe it didn't get done, and not uh, coming in with a mindset of trying to understand and trying to have a better understanding of what is going on, it's difficult to get the other person to want to collaborate with you. And so context is huge. Context is huge. And so here are some ways maybe to go about it, right? Instead of saying like what's going on here, it could be like, could you give me an update of where we are on XYZ, whatever that looks like. And then like, when can I expect this? It's like, again, it's not clear. It could be as simple as, well, can I have this by XYZ date? Okay. The issue is to be specific, because breakdowns are not always like, oh, it's because you didn't do something, but it's also because maybe you were not clear about something. Like when you sent that communication, maybe you were not clear about something. um Maybe the customer needed something and you just said, I need this ASAP. If you didn't clarify, I mean, ASAP is relative. ASAP is not clear. What is important to you is not important to me. And so you cannot make the assumption because you said I needed this ASAP, and if the customer needed it by Monday and I'm seeing this Friday, I'm probably thinking, okay, you need this ASAP. Okay, I'll leave it till Monday and then take care of it. And then Monday comes and it's like, oh, shoot, I should have gotten that done. And now you who sent the email or who communicated that wasn't clear. So now we have an issue with the customer. And now we are even having an issue because you feel like I'm not pulling my weight, but it's because you on the other end was not clear with what you wanted done. And so it's critical. And then when you say something like, well, why wasn't this done? I mean, it doesn't feel collaborative. And I think it should be looking at, how can I help? How can I help us get to the next level? Or how can I help us ensure that this gets done? So these are things that are happening every day in the workplace that oftentimes we are not thinking about. But it's like what we say, what we don't say, how we say it, who we communicate with, our tone, all of that, it's impacting the communication. And as a result, we are having so much failures in the workplace, which then bleeds into the customer experience and the customer service being delivered. Because I believe people are people, and people are consistent, and everyone wants to feel cared for, valued, and appreciated. And employees are part of those people as well. When you don't feel like the person you're communicating with cares or is trying to help you do your job, now, I mean, you don't care. And it's the same thing. The third and final type of communication breakdowns is ownership and disunity. This one is, it's just creating this compartmentalized ideology and mindset within a team. the old term of silos, where you think, well, that was my job, or this is not my job, or it was them, not us. Sales is always like that. I cannot trust them to get this done, right? These are some types of ownership and breakdowns that is always happening. So an example here is my customer, your problem. That's not my job. I don't know why this wasn't communicated. It's off the bat, placing blame on the other person, which then makes it hard for you to serve the customer. So instead of saying my customer, I mean, could we say our customer, right? Builds that collaboration, because and the experience and the service, if you want to be world class and you want to focus on giving customers more than what they expect or going beyond what they expect, the customer experience is everyone's responsibility. And that's why communication is so important. Oftentimes, most leaders will consider customer service to be a department, but that's not it. If you want to take things to the next level, you have to look at customer service as everyone's responsibility and not a department. Here's why. And think about this, or imagine this, picture this. You are a customer, and this has probably happened to you because it happened to me, where you call a company and the sales team, you were in love, you bought a product or the service. And let's use a product here. And they're like, well, you get it Monday morning. We'll make sure that you get this Monday morning, and you're excited about it. I mean, you can't wait for it to come. It's almost like every other hour you are checking the front of your door to make sure that it got delivered. And then 3 p.m. come, 4 p.m., 7 p.m., and you never got it. And now you are furious. You call and you're like, oh, it has on here that it will be delivered Thursday. And it's like, how? I mean, that was not what the sales team told you. What do you think happened there? Clearly, there's an issue of communication. There's clearly an issue with systems when it comes to communication. And sales, for some reason, failed to send a message to shipping. Like shipping did not get that message. Like, okay, typically we'll ship within 2 or 3 days, and this was priority. And sales team did not send a message to shipping, so it never got shipped. What happened there is because one department probably think it's not my job, or it's my customer, or it's not my customer, so I don't have to deal with that. And that's critical. And that's why communication needs to be valued greatly in the service and the experience. And why you do that is because everyone's responsibility is the customer. Everyone is responsible for the customer experience. Whether they are serving the customer directly at the front lines, engaging, communicating with them or not, they're still responsible. Because if you are not interacting with the customer directly, someone within your team is. And here is a caveat: that person who is depending on you to do your job, like the example of the sales and shipping. Okay. Sales is perhaps the ones interacting with the customer directly, but they are counting on shipping to get it to the customer. Even though shipping might never communicate with the customer, they still rely on each other. Like you need two, right? You need both of them to work together, and that's why communication is so important. So back to the examples, instead of saying that's not my job, I think the focus should be on how can I help so we can get this done. Okay, like what do I need to do, what do you need from me, how can we get this done? And then instead of saying I don't know why this wasn't communicated, it's working on being collaborative and say let's make sure everyone has the information they need. And then maybe you coming up front and say, well, this is what I can do, or you ask it again, how can I help? So these are simple communication issues, communication breakdowns. And if we know that 86% of workplace failures are attributed to communication, then communication needs to be taken seriously. And especially if you want to take things to the next level with the service and the experience, it's highly important that you focus on communication, because how your team communicates with each other, how they interact with each other, bleed and directly impact the experience they are delivering. Like I said earlier, people are people, and people are consistent. People want to feel valued and appreciated. And if I feel like my team member is not pushing their weight, I am not going to be as motivated to want to take great care of the customer. If you are having inconsistencies within your team in terms of the service, if you feel like some days is great, sometimes you worried about who is at the counter or who is interacting with the customer, then maybe it's because of your communication. If you can fix the communication internally, then you are well on your way on delivering a consistently great customer experience. I hope you find value in this, and let me know which of these phrases have you been using or have you seen your team use that you plan on eliminating, but which ones or how are you going to improve your communication as a whole? And if there's anything I can do to help you in the future, anything I can do to support you, let me know. Up until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye.